And welcome back. Time for our first conversation of the day. Our focus being on matters empowerment, specifically youth empowerment, how they can be able to navigate the employment scene, and also what they can be able to do beyond and besides just being employment, as well as matters retrenchment. That is going to be our center of discussion this morning. And I'm joined on set by Daissy Nyaga, who is the Chief Operations Officer of Bridges Credit Africa, and she also doubles up as an author. Good morning, Daissy.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me.
All right, just before you go the whole aspect of employment and even retrenchment, giving us your story, maybe you can just tell us about Bridges Credit Africa, what it is and what it does.
All right, thank you very much, Doreen. And as I've said, I'm very happy to be here. Yeah. So Bridges Credit Africa is a financing company that works to empower business people as well as youth. So we offer tailor-made financing solutions. One of which I find very innovative, and possibly I'll mention it here, is that we empower youth within the estates to own and operate tuk-tuks.
Wow.
Those are the three-wheeler tuk-tuks.
Okay.
So that is one product that I'm very proud of, because it gives young men and women the opportunity to have an income at the end of the day. Yes.
That's really interesting. And when you talk about empowering young people and the youth, how many youth have you empowered so far?
Wow.
Can you give an account?
I would say very many, and I have many stories that I can narrate of people that possibly don't have the right papers, in quotes, to get themselves, a white-collar job, but just by holding their hand, making them see an opportunity of how they can build a small business, giving them the finance and the capacity building. We have seen such kind of people actually grow to people that are even employers of labor. So you find that somebody could start off with one tuk-tuk, they employed as a driver. But when we work with them, we make the driver, and we enable the driver to actually end up owning a tuk-tuk, and that makes them now an owner and an employer. 1 year down the line, they've already paid off the first tuk-tuk, and they are able to now employ a driver for that tuk-tuk as they acquire a second one. So there are so many stories, and these are the kind of youth that move from that. They come together in a group, and they're actually able to even purchase land as a group and develop, start putting up their homes, start diversifying businesses for their spouses. So the housewife who was at home, well, the husband possibly, or the spouse, is on the road, within a year or 2 years, they have been enabled to start a separate business. So there are so many, they're in their thousands, and possibly, hopefully another day we could be able to showcase them, and they tell their story.
They tell their story.
Yes.
Oh, Daissy, I like what you've said, that by empowering these young adults, you're even making them to be employers of other people, which just does away with that story of someone has to be employed in a specific company for them to make a living.
Most definitely. I think what is very important for Kenyans to know is that life is not just about you walking into an office, sitting all day, doing some job in the office,
sitting behind a
computer and a desk. There are so many opportunities in what I would call juakali and conventional. Seems dirty, it seems tiring, but the opportunity actually lies there.
And these are areas we haven't explored even as a country?
We have barely scratched the surface.
Why?
A lot of factors. One, I believe government policy also needs to change. I believe the government needs to put in place policies that support cottage industries so that we're able to tap into agricultural sector. Because when you look at it, why do we import toothpicks? Honestly, why do we import tomato paste? Because if you are really an organization or a government that wants to empower the youth, they'll put in place a policy that will enable farmers at the least village come together, form a small cooperative, buy some basic, value addition equipment, and support them to package that tomato paste, which is then distributed to our supermarkets. So number one, I pray that government will work more towards putting the right infrastructure and policy in place to support value addition of each and every product that we grow. Number two is our training system. A lot of our training institutions of higher education, I believe most courses have been put together with the thought of being employed. Could our universities, our colleges, our technical institutions, such as now the TVET programs, empower people to work with their hands, to develop products, you know? So training is another aspect that we need to keep working on, so that children as early as 15, 18, the moment you leave high school, you need to live with a skill that you can start exploring and specializing, not just papers. Okay. I have a diploma in this, I have a certificate in this. What can I do? What skill do you have? Right. What can you do with it? Okay. So there's a lot, we're on the right road. I'm glad that the government is now very particular on the TVET programs, because that will enable youth to have skills that they can actually work with their hands and implement and form a business around the skill. But there's still so much more to be done, especially in policy.
So basically what you're saying is that the biggest issue we have, even for us as a country, is the policy. That we need to really look into that.
Yes.
All right.
And also now the mindset of people. Well, so that needs to start changing right from a very young age. Don't be told go to school, get a degree and go knocking on doors. So a lot has to be done from a younger age. Yes. And Daisy, we'll be coming to that mindset aspect a bit later, but let's just keep up with the issue of this youth that you are empowering. And you told us that yes, it's a significant number, and especially in the estates, and I want to believe that is in Nairobi. So are you planning to go beyond Nairobi, probably in the interior rural setups, to continue empowering even the same youths? Yes, and thank you for that, because already, as much as we are mostly in Nairobi, we have already begun working with small groups. We have youth from Machakos that have already started acquiring tuk-tuks from us, as much as we do not have an office right there. We have youth in Nakuru who have already begun inquiring, how can we go down there and support them? So yes, there are plans to go out there, and we shall continue to work with them, especially now after the COVID crisis. You realize that dispensable incomes have become, have shrunk. So even transport tastes and modes of transport are changing. We've seen a lot of people adopting.
What you can get.
Exactly. People are actually adopting and appreciating boda boda. Faster, cheaper. You
can get it anywhere.
You can get it anywhere. So there are plans, yes, and we've already begun on that, to actually now spread out to the rest of the country and empower these youth. So just give them the opportunity to own this asset, train them on defensive driving, so that they're actually able to run their business with minimal traffic incidences, and thereafter help them to invest, give them capacity building, the little money that you're making, the 1,000 at the end of the day. Now, how do you invest it to work for you? So that you don't have to work for the rest of your life,
doing the same kind of thing. So that means you not only just give these youths these tuk-tuks to help their lives by empowering them, you also offer them proper training to understand how to use them.
Yes, we do.
All right.
Capacity building is very key, because you realize most of them may not have really gone through the formal
training.
Education. Maybe most are dropouts from class 8, form 4, or probably they didn't finish the university. So we realize for the venture to be successful, to have this person become whole, we have to give them a lot of capacity building. Train them. How do you manage your tuk-tuk? How do you manage that business? How do you invest the little that you're making, little in quotes? Because those guys can go home with about 1,500, 2,000 at the end of the day. That's a lot of money at the end of the month. In a day. But now you need to guide them. At the end of the day, what do you do with that resource? How can you increase and multiply your business and employ other people?
All right.
Yes.
Now let's come to your book, Beyond 8 to 5. What necessitated the writing of this book? Because you're also seeing them in front of the table.
All right. Thank you again. Sometimes I look at this book and on such a platform, I get a bit emotional because
it touches you a lot.
It touches me, and it takes me a lot back to, where I've been. And it is where a lot of Kenyans have found themselves in during this period. So this book, Beyond 8 to 5, Critical Lessons by Retrenchment, is a book I wrote after losing my job suddenly at Kenya Airways way back in 2012. And it was rather sudden because one day I came from a flight all the way from Amsterdam. You've worked the whole night.
Well, it really it's really getting emotional because, you know, in this time, the least you would expect to see even someone telling your story of how they lost their jobs. It's so emotional given the kind of hard times you're living, you know, in as people and even as a country. So for you, it was that sudden?
It was that sudden, and I want to encourage every Kenyan that possibly they've already lost their job because of COVID, possibly they're on a pay cut, a large majority actually on unpaid leave. I want to encourage them that you can go through that and you will go through that experience and come out stronger. And I'm here to possibly share my story so that they can connect, that they will actually be able to make it through. So as I said, I came from a flight, an 8-hour flight from Amsterdam. I landed in Nairobi. And of course, when you've been away for 2-3 days, the first thing you do is switch on your phone. You want to see who's been looking for you.
What's happening?
I mean, what has been happening in Kenya? I've been away, and many messages come in. And I received this message from the company saying there's an urgent meeting at 2 o'clock later that day.
That day that you've just arrived?
That same day that you've just arrived. And it was a must-attend meeting. I recall that very well. So, of course, you're too tired. So you keep asking each other, have you received a similar message? Quite almost half of us had received the message. And so it was like, so what could this be all about? Then we recall there had been a rumor going around or some information that there could be a retrenchment in the coming month or 2 or so. So to cut the long story short, 2 o'clock came. We attended the meeting, and shockingly, when you're at the meeting, you're called for your letter. You open the letter in the meeting. Of course, after a briefing that, because of 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons, we have had to retrench X number of staff. Unfortunately, you're one of them.
Wow.
Remember, you were at work that same day. So that was rather sudden.
No one prepared you?
When there's a rumor going around, you know, there had been some information that there's a retrenchment in the offing, but nobody knows when is this gonna be until that day, you know. So nevertheless, I got my letter, I opened it. I thought it was a joke, actually, because I'm like, I've just come from a flight. So how is this happening? So nevertheless, the shock hits you. And I went home that day and I was like, so you mean tomorrow I'm not reporting to work? So are you telling me that tomorrow I don't have to wake up for my next flight? So the shock hits you and it's devastating. And so I can imagine what most Kenyans are feeling right now. Because COVID was rather sudden. In February, we had our businesses running very well. We had already planned for our income in March, April, May. But now the story is different.
Everything just changed.
It changed.
It took a turn.
It just took a turn, and many Kenyans I know are lost. They're devastated. They might be angry. They might be depressed and stressed. I am here to tell them, you will go through this. But there are things that you need to do so that you can make through this period, this very uncertain period. But speak out, share your sadness, reach out for assistance, for support, but you will make it through. So that's how sudden my retrenchment was.
Wow, and that is what brought about the writing of this book, Beyond 8 to 5.
Yes.
So is it more of an encouragement to people that are retrenched, people that are losing their jobs, taking pay cuts, for young people to be empowered to just not live in employment only? Is it what it's all about?
The book is about much more than that.
Okay.
In the book,
so there's extra than what you're talking about.
There's extra.
Okay.
So in it, I have shared my story. But besides that, I'm also speaking to the employed person. Somebody is already in their stable job. Possibly they've not lost their job, but they're in a comfort zone. So I'm speaking also to that person and telling them, hey, your employer is not your mommy or your daddy. And actually that's the title of my first, that's my first chapter. Because that's what I learned.
That anything can happen.
Anything can happen. And if a company releases you, never take it personal. they've had to
Don't
do
start
so.
hating the company.
Don't hate the company, don't hate your supervisor. Somebody has got to sign the letters. Somebody has got to take a decision for the company, and it's not a pleasant decision.
In as much as it's difficult and a very tough decision for both parties, by the way.
Exactly, for both parties. So I tell people, don't take it personal, release any form of bitterness, and then you ask yourself, I am here in this situation, what next? What next? I am here, I need to eat. If you have children, they need to eat, you need to pay your bills. I am here, I don't have a job. So what next?
What can I do with my life? Now, this is what is happening. What can I do?
That is the thing. And you need to make those decisions very fast.
Yeah, and we'll be coming to that employment bit in a, just in a bit to understand, especially for those that are already in employment. And just to remind our viewers, I'm speaking to Daissy Nyaga, the CEO of Bridges Credit Africa, as well as an author. She's talking to us about matters empowerment, specifically also youth empowerment, how they can be able to navigate the employment scene and how they can live beyond and besides just being employed. That is our center of focus this morning. And now, Daissy, coming back to you on the aspect of employment. Yes. What makes it so easy for someone to be so comfortable, especially for young adults? Because first of all, it's difficult to get a job. And the minute you get a job, you just get so comfortable with the payment, with the job itself. You don't think outside the box.
True.
What brings about that?
Wow. I don't know if that's how we are wired, but it's very natural. You've searched and searched for a job. You've gotten a job. You're like, phew, nimefika, you have arrived, you know. Let others look for the job. But I challenge everybody, including myself. The moment you're in a job, whether you consider it a good job, ama job ya kushikilia, you know, we have that language of ini ya kushikilia tu. Nikitafutanga ingine. The moment you get yourself into a role, into a job, start thinking. How can I maximize this opportunity? No matter how small your role is, how can I use this opportunity to build myself? Is that maximizing
the opportunity while you're in that employment space?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. How do I start maximizing this for the two of us? To build myself, yes, and grow with the role, and also for the company, you know? Never look at your employer or your organization as a place to leech. You know that you say, nimefika hapa, so now I will use all their resources to just build myself, and then you're off.
Especially if you've been looking for a job for the longest
time possible. So I challenge people, if you're employed, two things. Give of yourself fully. Do your job to the best of your ability. Give 200%. Because in the process, as you do that, you grow as a person. You know, you grow as a person. So always position yourself in a win-win situation with your role. That's number one. Number two, enter into a job and always realize you could be replaced at any one time.
That which they normally keep saying, no one is indispensable. Anything can happen any day, anytime.
Any day, anytime. And COVID has shown us that. It was beyond people's control. It was beyond some employers' control. Business just isn't good, and so we have to let people know. So the moment you have that realization every single day, trust me, you won't get into a comfort zone. Every time you walk around, as you do your job, you'll be somehow on the lookout for opportunities to build yourself. And I'll just give you an example. Figure out how can you be a valuable employee as you're doing your role. Figure out how can you be so valuable to your employer such that even if they have to let people go, they're like, apana, let Doreen be the very, very last person. You know? When you have that mindset, trust you me, even if you're eventually retrenched or you lose your job, it will be very easy for you to locate another opportunity or for another opportunity to find you. Number two, you will always be mentally prepared to just adapt to the new situation that you're in.
Not to be shocked when things happen and wonder, why did they pick on me? Why did they do away with me?
Exactly.
Okay.
And you'll not be paralyzed because that's something that affects a lot of people. You're in a paralysis. you've not accepted.
You've not accepted.
And so long as you've not accepted your situation, you will never move forward.
You will never even grow.
And time waits for no man. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was retrenchment more of a wake-up call for you to develop other skills, like even the writing skills, empowerment skills? You know, was it more of a wake-up call for you?
It definitely was. And number one is I was not financially, I had not, you know, like saved
As at that time?
As at that time.
Okay.
I was always sure my paycheck will come in
Again,
on the 18th.
that mindset.
Comfort zone.
All right.
Not even 25th, 18th of every month. I knew
Kama
my
ikifika
paycheck.
20th, amechelewa sana.
Whether I'm in Kenya or I'm outside the country, I
come.
knew if I go to the ATM, I will get money. So this was a big wake-up call. Because on the month I was retrenched, September, the 18th came. And Daisy, who had not accepted, still went to the ATM, believe it or not.
And you already
And
know
I
you've
said,
been retrenched.
I already have a letter, but I was still not in I was still in denial.
Okay.
So I went to the ATM and I'm like, maybe the payroll guy still processed.
Maybe
you know?
just 1 extra month.
Maybe 1 extra month, and they didn't tell us in the letter. So that's how bad a denial can be. Because the whole month you're in denial and you're hoping maybe it's a mistake.
Yeah.
So in short, accept. It's only when you accept your situation that you're able now to open your eyes and see opportunities. So it was a wake-up call for me. I realized that, hey, you know what? I could have done some things better. I could have managed my finances better. I could have had an emergency fund that could have seen me through maybe 2-3 months as I figure out my new situation. Besides that, it also helped me to realize that I need diversified streams of income, not just rely on one stream, the employment paycheck. So ever since that moment, I'll always be, you know, building an extra stream of income
There's
here and
here
there.
and there's something there also on the side.
Yes, with my extra time.
Okay.
Again, if you're employed in full-time employment, remember you must sacrifice. You must create time to try and build an extra income in one way or the other. Yes.
So is this more of like an encouragement statement, especially for young adults, since that's what you're trying to at least focus on this early morning, especially also for those who are still in employment, to understand that even though they are young, even though they at least have jobs, they can still do something on the side.
Yes,
they can still develop their skills.
Yes, they can. And there are many ways of, there's what I call building a fallback plan. What's your fallback plan? If you are to lose your job, for example, God forbid, what would you fall back on, you know? Number one, you can make yourself so valuable, you know, and acquire more skills such that should you even leave your employment, you can either start your own with the skills you have, or you'll be a hot cake in the labor market. Somebody else would be looking for you. So for people that want to grow in their career, start immediately. Don't wait. Develop your skills, learn more skills, you know, grow professionally. Number two, as a fallback plan, you can start side businesses. And I repeat again, without interfering with your day job. Avoid conflict of interest. Empower somebody else. Start a kiosk in the estate. Employ somebody. Empower one more person. And I always wonder to myself, if the millions that I employed gave an opportunity to just 2 people, 2 younger people, our unemployment rate would be very low.
Would be low.
So I always challenge people, if you have, you know, if you're entrepreneurship minded, if you're the kind that always wants to do business and you're still employed, start very small and give that job to somebody else, 1 or 2 people, and empower them. That again can be a fallback plan. So should you lose your job, you can now focus on building that business
that you already started while you're still in employment.
Exactly.
Okay.
Number 3, and most important, emergency funds. Emergency funds. You know, set aside a very small amount every month. Work through your budget. Put aside 1,000, 2, 5, 10,000. Invest. I tell people,
don't just
invest.
save.
Don't just save.
Okay.
Invest in what I would call an emergency fund. You need to put it in what I would call safe assets, safe investment classes, such as the money market fund. It is so easy. You open a money market fund, put in 1,000 bob, 2,000, 510, depending on your budget, and that acts as your emergency fund. So if anything happens and you have no income, or your pay cut has been, your paycheck has been cut, you have a fund that can buffer you as you look for another opportunity.
Okay.
So that is what I always tell people, those three. Yes.
All right. Now, Daisy, those are really very important statements, especially when it comes to saving and even investing. But for most young adults, they would say that whatever I'm getting from that company, I cannot be able to even invest. I cannot be able to even save. And that's why probably for me, I'm just enjoying and living life with, with what I have. What would you say for such young people? Because the reality of life is that anytime, anything can happen.
All right, to my YOLO friends, you live only once.
You live only once.
So long as you have the realization that I need a contingency fund, you will get the money out of your budget. So it just takes willpower for you to work through your budget. You need to cut a few unnecessary expenses so that you get that 1,000 to 5,000 extra to invest. So it's really just about that realization. Because trust you me, if right now somebody is told you will be out of work in the next 6 months, trust you me, that budget, you will cut it.
And they will find a way to help them make it through.
Exactly, if they are told in advance.
Okay.
If people are told in January next year, you'll be out of work. Trust you me, between now and December, that person will have cut their budget, I'm sure even by 50%. Because they know
they have to survive come January next year.
Come January. But the problem is, life doesn't give you notice. Sometimes things just happen. And it's not just about job loss. It could be a medical crisis. It could be an accident, Things you don't have control over. You have totally no control. It could be an act of nature, a natural disaster. So the thing is to realize that life doesn't give notice. You just need to have the wisdom to understand that in the event of any negative impact, I need to always have something that is kept aside waiting for such a moment. If it doesn't happen, we thank God, because your money is still growing anyway. Yeah, it's still growing, and you're still having your money. Yes, and the beauty, just before probably move on, the beauty of an emergency fund, it also avoids you from getting into unnecessary debt. Because if you find yourself out of work, you have no savings, you have no emergency fund, how do you survive? You borrow, right? And that digs you deeper and deeper into debt. So having an emergency fund, whether you are out of work or not, also helps you to avoid unnecessary debt. Because if you need anything, you won't borrow in, you have something put aside. You have something put aside. Yes. Now, let's come to that aspect of skills, Daisy. Yes. Because oftentimes when you think about building skills, we just think I have to go back to school. And someone would say, I'm already working. Where will I get time to go to school, get time to open a business on the side and still go to build a skill? So how does someone get to build up their skill, which can still help them during employment and even after employment? All right. My mentor once told me that lack of time is the excuse, is the first excuse of the procrastinator. Okay. So you'll always find time for things that are important to you. And I always give this example. It's actually even in my book. If you tell a woman that there's a very important event tomorrow at 5 a.m. and you're telling her this at 4 p.m. the previous day, trust you me, she'll find the time to go look for the outfit, she'll find the time to go to the salon, she'll find the time to get ready. So you'll always find time for what you feel is important to you. For that person that is committed to build a skill, you will find the time. It just means you will drop some things and take up others. So number one for skills, look out for free learning opportunities, number one, online. The digital space has offered us a lot of resources on the internet. We have universities, top class universities, including Harvard.
Yeah.
And they always have some free courses that you can attend. We also have very affordable courses online. So you may not need to walk into a class physically to learn a skill. Search for them online. Number 3, YouTube. YouTube is a good friend of mine. Search anything, how to, on YouTube. It's a free resource. All you need is data bundles. And you will learn the skills. Another thing, look for somebody that is already in that space.
Where you have interest.
Where you have interest. Reach out to them and request them to mentor you or request to work with them, whether for pay or pro bono. Yeah? So it depends on what actually is. So how do you reach out to these people? Start on the digital space.
Digital space again.
Do they have a Facebook page? Do they have Twitter? Do they have... Reach out to them, you know, never get tired. The other thing is networking, you know, attend events. It's very uncomfortable when you're trying to get into your next level because it forces you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But you see events, there are so many flyers flying around. If you see events that have been put up, attend, whether they are online or they are physical, you know. Attend. A
chance for you, especially as a young person, to network.
To network.
Okay.
And to even get mentors, people that can mentor you, you know. So when you leave your house, you know you are not what I would call an underdog, but you know you are deficient in some skill. But gather the courage, walk into those events and sit and listen. Identify 1 or 2 people who are possibly in your area of interest. Walk up to them, introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Daisy, and I am a student, or I do this and this. Do you mind?
I'm interested in this and this.
Let me tell you, people are very kind out there, and they will give you that opportunity.
So sometimes just perception we have that, how will they listen to me? Do they even know me?
They don't know you.
So sometimes it's just that perception we have.
That is the thing. Okay. It's a perception and a mindset, you know. But the moment you walk up to somebody, you reach out to them. Trust you me, I have never been turned down by anybody. They may not do it right there, but they'll always tell you, wow, thank you for asking, but yes, I'm available. I can do 1, 2, 3 for you. Okay. It could be a very occasional interaction, 1 in 3 months, but it makes a difference. So network, identify people to mentor you, to work with you, and you'll definitely not be the same. And time is not an excuse.
Okay, and these are the various ways, especially the young people can be able to build up their skills, not just to be so comfortable that I have a job, I have a pay, I have a salary, so I'm good to go.
Yes.
So these are some of the ways they can be able to build up their skills.
Yes, and also read.
All right.
Before I forget that.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I say that not because I have written the book, but it actually said that 2 aspects that can totally change your life. 2 things. Besides the God factor. 1 is the people you meet.
And the books you read.
And the books that you read. And that I can attest in my life. So read. You may not consider yourself an avid reader. But just go and identify books.
Just
even on the street.
Knowledge. Just get some information. On
some information. So read. Join book clubs. You know, in a book club, even if you're new to reading, they will read collectively and start sharing the nuggets from the book. So even if you never read the book fully, you'll end up getting nuggets from that whole book. And I actually belong to a book club. That's why I'm very passionate about book clubs. Yes, and it's called Readers and Leaders Book Club, which is an arm of the League of Young Professionals. So read. You'll also get skills from that. Wow. Yes.
This is so profound, at least to help us understand, for those in employment, for those who don't have jobs, that you can still do something beyond, you know, employment. You can still do something even if you lose your job. True. But now let's come to the other aspect of you as a person, Daisy, where you are also the president, is it of the Rotary Club of Nairobi. What does it entail? What do you do there?
All right. So it's actually the Rotary Club of Nairobi South.
Oh, okay.
Yes, of Nairobi South. Thank you very much. So Rotary is a global organization. It's a service organization with thousands of clubs globally. And Rotary brings together people that want to take an action to change their communities, make a lasting change in their community. So Rotary has 6 areas of focus.
Okay.
When they bring people together, we are saying that we shall look for ways to improve our community around the 6 areas. So one is maternal and child health care. So a Rotarian anywhere will always be looking for a way to improve maternal and health child care around their community. Another area of focus is peace, promoting peace. Another area is disease prevention. We also focus on the environment, which has just been recently added as an area of focus. And we also focus on education, you know, promoting literacy.
So again, the aspect of reading also coming out.
And that comes out.
All right.
And remember, we are working with our communities, you know. So as a Rotarian, you identify a need in the community. We are volunteers. You bring your heads together. How can we meet that need? How can we offer a solution? So you fundraise, you partner with organizations, and collectively do projects. So you will see a lot of projects, especially in Kenya, that have been done by Rotarians. We have dug wells in arid and semi-arid places where children could not, where the community could not access water. We have built schools, we have built latrines in schools, we have provided books, we do sponsorships for children, you know, needy children that are very bright but do not have enough finances to go through education. Dispensaries have been built, donations of medicines, free medical camps. So there's a lot that Rotary does. And just to take you back to the discussion on how to develop skills, I encourage people out there. It doesn't matter your caliber in life. Join a service organization such as Rotary. It will give you the opportunity to work with fellow people, to give back to your society. There's always something you can give.
So is it more like volunteering?
Yes, it is actually a volunteer organization. Okay. And I always say there are 3 things you can give. There are those who say I don't have money, so you can become a Rotarian. There are those who say I don't have the time to go to the community and do the voluntary service. There are those who say they don't have the energy. So regardless of where you're at, whether you're a youth, you're middle-aged or you're aged, you can serve with your money, resources. You can serve with your time, you know. You can serve with your energy. So we also have what we call the Rotaractors. Rotaractors are youth that are being groomed to become Rotarians. So mostly there'll be people in the university space, in colleges. I would say they may not have the money to donate, but they have the time and the energy.
And that is what they can give.
And that is what they can give. Okay. So do that. For somebody like me, possibly, I may have a little money to support the projects and also a lot of energy. I can run around. So that is what I'll give. To our senior citizens, they may have the money, but they may not have the energy to run around, you know. So for those ones, they'll give their money and their ideas and their guidance. So when we all come together, we create lasting change in our communities. So I invite people to look out Rotary and join the organization also.
Okay.
Yes.
Then just finally, as you try to bring the conversation to a close, Daisy, what makes it so hard for young people to be volunteers or even to offer volunteer services? Because again, that's what you're saying, that can be able to build up their skills, which can help them either in the employment setup or just beyond employment.
Again, it goes to mindset.
Okay.
Because as people has been brought up, the mindset is, I'll go to school, get a job and get paid for everything I do.
Because I've gone to school.
Because I've gone to school.
That mindset of I have papers anyway, so you need to pay me.
You need to pay me, exactly. So it's a mindset change that needs a lot of working towards to change. They need to understand that when you volunteer, you become better at a skill, you learn different skills and you network. And the networks that you make as you volunteer are the same networks that you will exploit when you're looking for a job, possibly, when you're looking for a business deal. Yeah. So it's a win-win situation. You give of your time and your energy, and it gives you visibility, what I call visibility. I know Doreen, she was with us when we were cleaning the river.
Yeah.
So when the time comes for you to look for a job, I'll always remember that. And I will go out of my way to maybe let you know of opportunities. So to the youth, volunteer. Let lack of payment not be the hindrance. You will improve your skill and you will network with people in the society that can actually usher you into opportunities in the community.
And they can really help you.
Yes.
So volunteering is good. And sometimes it's not always about the pay, whether or not you feel like you have the papers and you have the qualifications.
True.
Sometimes it's just always about trying to show someone what extra you can do.
True.
Okay.
True that, yes.
And also, Daisy, I read one of our statements from the testimonials that people are giving about your books, and there's one that just read that your employment is someone else's vision. Wake up and build your own. What do you have to say about that?
I agree with that statement. All right. And I would say that statement speaks to two people. It's a bit controversial. But that's the reality.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It is I mean, it's the reality. Your employment is somebody's vision. Yes.
Yeah.
So while you're there, help that person, help your employer to achieve their vision while you search for your own. Okay? And it does not mean that you cannot thrive in employment. That is where people always get it wrong. Because there are people that want to thrive in a career and profession. Mambo ya biashara, that's not them. So connect your vision with your employer's vision. And I also like speaking
I like that. Connect your vision with the employer's vision.
Yes, look for a way of plugging into that vision without conflict of interest. And I also like speaking to employers. Nurture your employees.
That's very important also.
Yes,
nurture
also to
your employees.
Nurture your employees. If you see somebody has a talent in them, give them the leeway to exploit that talent, because they're also your brand ambassador. All right? They thrive. If your employee thrives, they carry your brand with them as well. So employers also nurture your employees. Let it be a win-win situation. And employees, look after the business of your employer. Roho safi. Give your all. And God is a rewarder. Give your all. Yes, give your all. God is a rewarder.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Now, Daisy, finally, where can our viewers get this book and even the magazine that you also launched, with the same title?
Yes.
How can they be able to get these books? And can one even get one of the books that you already have?
Great. First and foremost, I would like to offer these 3 copies to KBC viewers.
So for our viewers, these are your books.
Yes. So I'll leave it to you to figure out who gets a copy. So you can get a copy of my book through my website, which is www.beyond8to5.co.ke. 8 and 5 is a digit. Also connect with me on my digital handles. That is Facebook Beyond 8 to 5, Twitter Beyond 8 to 5, Instagram Beyond 8 to 5, LinkedIn Beyond 8 to 5.
Everywhere Beyond 8 to 5.
8 to 5. And you can also look out for Daissy Nyaga for a more personal connection. Yes.
Okay, and now Daisy, I think just to make it fair for our viewers, maybe we can just say via our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 TV, for those that have been watching this conversation, maybe our viewer can tell us what has been the greatest lesson they have learned from you as a mentor, someone who empowers young people, and then we'll see who we can give one of these books from what they have learned. Yes. Will that be fair enough?
That's fair enough, yes.
All right.
Yes. And we appreciate their tuning in.
Yeah, their viewership as well.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Daisy. That's all the time we had, we had for this morning in regards to that topic, and really appreciate so much the kind of nuggets you've given us, at least just better understand how we can navigate the employment scene and what we can do beyond just employment.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Thank you for having me.
And we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
All right, and that has been Daissy Nyaga, Chief Operations Officer of Bridges Credit Africa, who also doubles up as an author, talking to us about matters empowerment, specifically youth empowerment, how we can be able to navigate the employment scene and even just do more and beyond just being employed and being in an employment kind of setup. That's all the time we had for this morning. We take a very quick break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.